terms of like the San Francisco 49ers, it's going to be a quiet as most Tuesdays are. Um, I'll be really curious to hear Kyle and whoever is available over the next couple of days from the San Francisco 49ers, because as I mentioned, I think a lot of what the last few days have been and the next few days might be is just getting over the emotional aspect of the Fred Warner loss. And I'm talking about the players on the field. Kyle isn't afforded those couple of days. John Lynch isn't afforded those couple of days. Like, they have to figure out a game plan immediately. And I actually was like Team KC when it came to Nick Bosa, and the idea that this defense will really still be able to sustain itself with the loss of Nick Bosa. Now they're not pressuring the quarterback. I don't know how great they were pressuring the quarterback when Nick Bosa was here, but they're really not pressuring him. Pressuring them without him. I don't know how to make this one work. Not just the pure talent on the field, but more from the aspect of you had a combination of veteran players that have been there. You had a combination of young players. You had you had new guys stepping in, and Fred was the one who kind of held everything together. And I don't know how you just remove that and go, no. These young guys are going to continue to grow at the same rate that they were. Now it's the Mikael Williams, those guys was like, no, now you're a kid who has to grow up fast. Nah, you can't party in your teenage years anymore, man. No, you gotta get a job. You got to take care of your brother and sister. You got to do all these different things because the parent's not here anymore. So you've got to hold the fort down. And that's a tall ask, especially for a defense that was playing the way that they were. Just at most asking them to maintain that level of play, I think it's going to be really difficult.
No, it absolutely is. It's not easy, like you just pointed out. One of the things that I would say is, you need one of those guys to step up and be a leader. And the next man up in that respect on that defense would probably be Diamondor Lenore. And maybe it's not always calling out the plays or anything like the middle linebacker typically does. Something D. Winters and Bethune we're going to have to do. Nick Martin, a rookie, is going to have to learn on the fly. But you need somebody that when something like this happens, when something like this goes down, they look to and they say, we're all right. I got you. I'm here. I got you. That's what Fred was when Nick Bosa went down. Now that Fred's down, you got to find out who that guy is. You may not have him. Maybe Lenore's not that guy. You may not have that guy that isn't – he's not going to be Fred Warner, but a guy to stabilize the emotions and everything that's going down for everybody. I'm looking at Diamondor Lenore. He's got the talent. He's got the he's vocal enough. He's been there for a while. I'm looking at him to see what he can do in this type of situation.
Can I ask a question though? Is he in a difficult spot on the field to be that guy? Is that guy like Diamondor Lenore can be a voice in the huddle for sure, but Fred Warner was literally in the middle of the field.
Yeah, no, I mean it's not going to be the same by any means. But once again, this is like anything else when somebody goes down or coming back from injury or something, at least with me personally, I'm not asking you to be 100%. I think that's unreasonable.
Okay.
But if you can give me, I'll even lower it a little bit. Usually, I like to say 80%. But if you can give me 70% of Fred Warner's leadership skills, his preparedness, his communication with the rest of his teammates, if you can give me 70% of that, whoever it is, Lenore, Mustafa, I don't really care who it is, whoever it is, or a combination of guys. Maybe it takes two guys, and those two guys combined to give you 70% of that type of stuff. I think that's a good start.
I think that's more likely what's to happen. The second scenario you just presented, where it's multiple guys who step in and kind of become the voices, so to speak, rather than the voice. And you see, like, I think in cases of like high run organizations, when you lose someone, like, people step in and they step up. And, like, look, I mean, Jesse will be back next week, but Kyle's working all damn day to make sure that this show functions the way it's supposed to make sure that podcasts are out there, to make sure all of that stuff, like, it happens within jobs. Like, it happens someone who's gonna step up when so and so is out for whatever reason, who's gonna step up when so and so has been let go. And this is different because there are very high paid coaches game planning for what they think you're going to do. Right. But you already have a game plan. You have a high paid coach of your own to lay this stuff out. You just need someone to step up and be that leader, be that support, be a director when needed, keep things calm when they're not going well. Like, that's another thing. Like, there's always, there's the rally stuff. There's the, hey, you're over there. Hey guys, let's get together here real quick. Hey, we got to do this. We got to do that. But there's also hey, it's good. It's fine. Hey, we all know our assignments. Get in our position. Let's get, we got, two stops. Or as LeBron said, one stop. Like, you need somebody to do that stuff too. As trivial as it may seem, like, you need people to do that stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely. Our guy Tyler in the chatty house says voices won't matter with missing his actual play on the field. I mean, of course, nobody's making the argument that you can replace Fred Warner's actual play in his production. Not one singular person. But if you band together, and this is kind of the difference sometimes between media people like myself, fans like myself, and those players. Like, if those guys are thinking like the way everybody else is saying, like, why even show up? You know what I mean? Like, they're like, season's over, the task is just too tall. Like, all right, cancel the season. You know what I mean? That's not how they're thinking. These are pros. These are guys that get paid. These are guys that are prepared. And yeah, they're going to miss Fred Warner. Absolutely. But number one, some guys may look at it, maybe it's a Nick Martin or a Dean Winters, as an opportunity to step in and say, I've got to grow up a little bit. I've got to step my game up, and I'm up to the task. Also, in that locker room, they could be looking at it as not one person, like we kind of mentioned, is going to replace Fred Warner's production or his vocal leadership. But this is a time when we don't rely on one person. We don't rely on just Fred Warner to be the guy to make sure everybody knows the plays or knows what we're doing or can recognize what the offense is doing. Everybody needs to be in their books. Everybody needs to be in their film study. So we all have a better understanding. Maybe in some respects, you leaned on Fred Warner too much in that respect because you're like, whether it's one more going through film study one more time. Well, yeah, Fred will tell me. Fred will recognize, and I'm a lean off of what he does. Now, maybe you look at it one more time at the film study. Now I need to understand what the tendencies that Penix has, or when they're in this formation. I need to make sure I'm on point. And if you can get 10, 11 guys to have that same type of mentality, once again, you can't exceed, or I don't even believe match what Fred Warner brought to the table. But you can keep your head above water and you can do your job at a high level, even if it's not as high as it was when Fred Warner was there. And that's all that we're saying when we talk about those guys in the locker room. Can you do your job well enough that you guys don't sink and drown?
So to Tyler's point, though, if all of those guys do their job and you can only get a certain percentage from whoever is stepping in Fred Warner's place, where does that, and these are, I'm not asking you to answer this, like, where does that leave the 49ers?
It depends, right? Like, and we kind of talked about it yesterday. The first 6 weeks of the season, because of the injuries on the offensive end and everything that's going on, they've relied heavily on that defensive end. That's going to have to flip if they want to win games. You're getting some guys back on the offensive end, and you're gonna have to maybe start winning some games 28-24. You know what I mean? 28-31, something like that. Like it's gonna morph into a little bit more of an offensive team. The scary part about that for me, and why I can't, shout out to Kyle Madsen, can't put them in a tier one or anything like that, is because I don't know. I don't believe today they have the offensive line to be able to control games on the offense the way they've been able to in the past. They can't run the ball effectively. They can't consistently protect the quarterback with that offensive line. And they're gonna sure those things can change throughout the course of a season. They're gonna have to show me. I can't rely on that with this group.
Sure.
Can't rely on that. So if you get the defense to do their job and step up and do what they're supposed to do, and you get 70-75% of what you had when Fred Warner and Nick Bosa was there, cool. That's not good enough to rely on the defense to win games. You're going to have to start scoring points. I think that's where this team is going to have to morph into how they play. And to be honest with you, Kyle Shanahan with his play calling, maybe you can't, with that offensive line, play this ball control style. You may have to throw it a little bit more than you're used to and not be afraid of getting in shootouts. Can they be successful? Can they win that way? Are they built to win that way? Are the players coming back from injury on the offensive end enough for them to win that way? Only time will tell. Like you said, that's something that we can't answer until we get there. But I think the philosophy of this team, if I had to bet, the philosophy of this team is going to have to shift into more of an offensive team than they were these first 6 weeks of the season.
Yeah, but I hear you, but you just laid out the problems with the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
I think, to me, that's the biggest concern with them becoming that offensive team you talked about, is that offensive line.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a concern. I think they can still win. They can still be effective with the offensive line that they have. Like they can be better on the offensive end with the offensive line that they have. I just think there's a ceiling to where they can be. Like if you tell me the defense takes a little bit of a dip, offense ticks up a little bit with George Kittle and some of these guys coming back, and we talked about it yesterday. Can they be 6-5 in their remaining games to be 10-7 overall?
Mm-hmm.
As is, yes, they can.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they can get to an NFC Championship game the way things are right now without people playing better than what they've played right now. That's that. When I talk about uptick, I'm talking about just people coming back from injury. You get George Kittle back, you look a little different on offense. You get Brock Purdy back, you look a little different on offense. That alone is the little uptick. To perform at a high level, to be better than what you were on offense, I don't know if I can put that on the offensive line right now without seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get better just because you won't have 4 stringers in there. I think you'll improve on that. But your actual performance as an offensive line, I don't know if that gets better just in general. And because of that, I think you can get to 10 wins, but I don't know if you can get any further than that.
Well, we'll certainly these are questions that aren't going to be answered tomorrow or Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
These are questions that are going to be answered over the course of the next 10, 11, 12 weeks of the season.
Mm-hmm.
That's where these questions will be answered. With all of that said, I thought the Bucs did a hell of a job on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Baker was incredible. I think the injuries that the Bucs are playing through, and the fact that they're sitting at the top of the conference as one of the best teams. You have Baker Mayfield playing the absolute best football of his career, which is just absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
He has solidified his status in the MVP conversation, which is so funny because, we'll talk more about this in a few minutes, but Josh Allen had a rough night last night. Like Josh Allen, I don't think is at the forefront of any MVP conversation. Certainly Lamar Jackson is not. I don't believe that Patrick Mahomes is. Kind of the usual suspects that we talk about. Joe Burrow's been done for a while. We're legitimately talking about Baker Mayfield, talking about Jared Goff. Hell, we might be talking about Daniel Jones. Like those are the names that we're talking about. and I'm sure there's running backs that are playing in Jigba in Seattle. Like the numbers he's putting up as a receiver, it's just insane. Hell, maybe even Darnold is in the conversation at this point.
Yeah, he's had some good moments as well.
Like there's, and this will play into a bigger conversation that we'll have at some point today. NFL is weird, bro. NFL through 5 weeks is weird.
The NFL right now, and like you said, we'll talk about it as the day goes on. We kind of talked about it a little bit during the handoff when we talked about the tiers. It really just feels like a week-to-week league right now. Like what's the matchup? What's the injuries? Who's playing better on that day? Anybody can beat anybody, except for the Raiders.
Hey man, they beat the Titans.
I just had to
got Kelly on fire.
I had to get that in for John Pauls, man. I'm just joking, and Steven too. No, the Raiders could beat anybody on any given day. Like I like the Raiders. It'd be a shock. It'd be surprising, but I don't look at any
Raiders
team.
beat the top team in the AFC East.
Exactly. It feels like it's a week-to-week, game-to-game, situation-to-situation, matchup-to-matchup type league right now. I don't see anybody that is head and shoulders above the rest of the league.
Yeah.
I think there's like 10 to 12 teams that are just jumbled together, then maybe another 7 teams that are below them, and then you got the Russell Wilson rankings.
Oh man.
And those guys can win it on any week.
The Russell Wilson teams? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I don't know if the Titans can win a football game.
Well, I don't know if the Jets can win a football
game. Oh my
gosh. We saw history on Sunday.
That is insane. That is absolutely insane. We have